Please mute yourselves. Hello, everybody. Shabbat Shalom and welcome to Kabbalat Shabbat. For some reason, Zoom is really giving us a very, very hard time. But if you want to come and join us, we are on the Bushy Zoom channel, and you can see us live there. And otherwise, you're stuck with just my beautiful face for the next however long. We're going to start things off this evening, first of all, with a memorial prayer. We'll go into the Refuah Shalema prayer as well, say a few words, and then sing some Kabbalat Shabbat together. Guys, you going to join in with me tonight? Got some thumbs up on the screen over there. Got a great crowd on tonight. What's that, Stanley?
You won't hear us singing with you.
Well, I will do if you don't mute yourself. So here we go, guys. We're gonna.
Do you want me to mute myself?
I'll do that for you. So we're going to start, everyone, with the memorial prayer for all those people who are marking a yort site in the coming week. And if you have the name of someone that you wish to have the prayer recited for, and you suspect that the name might not be on my screen, then please do include their name at the appropriate pause. So without further ado, juggling between different screens because the tech really isn't working well for me today, we'll start with the memorial prayer. All those who are going to be standing, please do so now. El Mali Rachamim, Shochein Bamromim, Amen Seimenu Chanechayna, Tachas Kanfei Hashchina, B'malos Kedoshim Etorim, Kezohar Akia Mazirim, Es Nishmos. Chaim Yisrael, Shimon ben Yaina Banet, Binyamin ben Yisrael Siret, Mordechai ben Baruch Abrahams, Avraham ben Mordechai Peretz Koski, Pinchas ben Eliezer Bernstein, Aaron ben Moshe Alevi Felber, Yitzchak Leib ben Nachum Menachem Green, Aryeh ben Yosef Turner, Lezer ben Yosef Zoltzaira, Gila Rachel bas Gedalia Chaim Ka, Yitzchak ben Yisrael Lebi, Yitzchak Shlomo ben Harav Mordechai David Fink, Eliezer ben Feivel Cranes, Moshe ben Yisrael Kezna, Shlomo ben David Weinstein, Rachel Rosenberg, Meir Aharon ben Shmuel Zev Lincoln, Devorah Leah bas Yosef Natan Shiat, Menachem ben Yisrael Smith, Shlomo ben David Weinstein, Rachel Richmond, Yisrael Yaakov ben Zvi Freeman, Reuven ben Beryl Halevi Harrod, Gloria bas Mordechai Libi, Fruma bas Yaakov Morris, Naomi Shana bas Abraham Gale, Leah Sugarman, Yisrael ben Zev Goodmaker, Tavi bas Shraga Herman, Yehudis bas Shalom Feivel Benjamin, Sipora ben bas Shalom Zvi Litton, Avraham ben Kalman Woman, Daniel ben Shmuel Maisie, Etta bas Mordechai Shulman, Label ben Moshe Newman, Avraham Kalman ben Yosef Bloomberg, Bracha Cohen, Hertz ben Mordechai Kent, Avraham Ber ben Herschel Groves, Avraham Yehuda ben Yisrael Yaakov Halevi Malin, Esther bas David Marcus, Beryl ben Aaron Cohen Norman, Reuven ben Anshel Fried, Zed Yehuda ben Yisrael Cash, Gittel bas Shlomo Abrahams, Rivka bas Aaron Cohen Waller, Betzalel ben Yosef Eliman, Pinchas ben Tzvi Hirsch Liboff, Krena bas Shlomo Troina, Tzvi Alta ben Yaakov Nicholsby, Eliyahu ben Yitzchak Cohen Hoffman, Gershon ben Moshe Mizel, Chana bas Binyamin Gray, Hudis bas Yisroel Reisman, Hinda bas Avraham Zev Guth, Moshe Baruch ben Shmuel Yosef Einhorn, Shalchu L'Olamam, Bavu Shebnei Mishpachtam Mispalelim Biad Askaras Nishmasam, Lachein Balarachamim Yastirim B'Seiser Kenafav L'Olamim, V'Yitzror, B'Yitzror, Hachayim Es Nishmasam, Adonai Hu Nachalasam, V'Anuchu V'Shalom HaMishkavam Neymar, Amen. We'll also say a prayer for all those in the community who are sick or unwell or otherwise indisposed. Again, sadly, our list is just far too long. But if you have a name of someone who you wish to pray for at this time for any kind of recovery, please include their name at the appropriate pause. Mishaberach Abuseinu Avraham Yitzhak Yaakov Moshe V'Aaron David Ushlomo Yivarech Es Acholim Chalakakon Ben Lim Levis Mimarasu Rachel Batzav Es Akishon Ben Rachel Es Atabas Nazav Yosef Zerach Mea Ben Esther Gitto Ves Yaakov Ves Shon Ves Sheni Ves Kamanaria Ben Yita Ves Yitzchak Ben Zion Ves Chavaleh Bas Esther Ves Hadassah Orli Bas Naomi Shoshana Ves Bracha Riva Bas Rachel Ves Shira Bas Penina Ves Mordechai Ben Simcha Ves Yonatan Ben Meir Ben Heni Ves Mordechai Ben Tovavela Ves Shlomo Ben Eliezer Ves Yonatan Chaim Ben Rus Ves Chana Bas Moshe Ves Moshe Michal Ben Temaleh Ves Chavachana Bas Altivivka Ves Chava Bas Miriam Saras Fi Ben Saras Ruch Yehuda Ben Elka Ves Gabriel Ben Pinchas Ben Racha Ves Chana Racha Bas Tova Ves Sarah Bas Chaim Ves Sheni Reza Rivka Bas Mina Ves Shoshana Bas Esther Ves Menachem Ben Yehuda Ves Miriam Bas Leah Ves Reuven Ben Sarah Pero Ves Yechezkel Yehuda Ben Yenta Ves David Ben Chana Ves Eliyahu Ben Moshe Ves Gila Esther Bas Sarah Ves Yisrael Nathan Ben Miriam Ves Tinok Ben Tova Ves Michal Ben Yosef Ves Gittel Bas Malka Ves Liva Bas Chava Ves Birka Ben Zalman Ves Chana Bas Henda Ves Binyamin Maran Ben Malka Racha Ves Abigail Shifra Ben Malka Racha Ves Binyamin Ben Abraham Ves Kordele Bas Bracha Liva Ves Binyamin Zeb Ben Reza Ves Aman Ben Racha Ves Davitanio Ben Chai Bluma Ves Tinok Ben Reza Sarah Ves Arya Yehuda Ben Bracha Shendel Ves Pinchas Zebulun Ben Bracha Ves Zeb Ben Sarah Ves Mordechai Moshe Ves Shaman Fego Bas Tavara Anarafano Samim Aleina Rachamim Aleihem Nachli Mamalach Yosam Ushlach Lahem B'Meir Refuah Shlema V'Soch Shachalei Yisrael Refuas HaNefesh Refuas HaGuf Hashda Bagalav Izman Karim and Oimar Amen. Please be seated, everybody. There we go. Just a quick idea to take us into Shabbat. This week's Parsha is Parshat Acharei and Kedoshim. It's a double whammy. It's going to be a long one. Acharei, which talks primarily about the Yom Kippur service as it existed in the time of the Mishkan, the tabernacle, and latterly in the Beit HaMikdash, and talks about relationships which are not good for people, and Kedoshim, which talks about holiness. So let's talk a little bit about holiness. And I think the best way to introduce the topic of holiness is with the events that transpired this week, which holds attention. And I think the world spoke for itself in reaction to the events as they unfolded. I refer, of course, to the Super League, which was announced this week, that was going to siphon off 15 other teams and Tottenham Hotspur, a world-class team, and it was going to take all of that competition and put it into one Super League. And let's face it, the world went mad, especially in the United Kingdom. Fans were up in arms as they spelled the end of football as we know it. Now, we don't need to get political. We don't need to get into the nitty-gritty of whether they were right or whether they were wrong. But there was something that caught my attention with this particular episode, which is the following. The world reacted very negatively to the concept that we could claim that there are groups out there who could exist on a different level of reality to everybody else. How unfair it would be to say that these 16 teams are any more superior than other teams from around the world. And, you know, it's funny. Everyone spoke with their opinions pretty much very negatively. We've seen a number of teams dropping out as a result of the complaints from fans. But it dawned on me, in Judaism, we very much have an idea that exists, the concept of Kedusha, the concept of a holy nation, a holy country, holier days of the year, holier places to be, holier groups of Jews. Even the Kohanim exist in a different plane than the rest of us plebs, right? Kohanim would have to be much more careful with their ritual purity status. So are we not guilty of the same thing? Are we not saying that some things are better than others, that some things exist to the exclusion of other groups? Do we get a sniff of this at all in our practice of Judaism? And I was thinking that if we think that, we might be misunderstanding the concept of holiness completely. The word for holiness, Kedusha, is linked to many other words. Let's explore a few of them now. We have a concept known as hekdesh, when something gets set aside and sanctified for the use in the Beit HaMikdash, in the temple. It has a name that is given to it, which is called hekdesh. When a couple get married under the chuppah, the ceremony is known as Kedoshim. Kedoshim comes from the same root of kadosh, of kedusha, of holiness. But what is the marriage? The marriage exists as an exclusive entity and has its own identity to the exclusion of all others. Not because a husband and a wife, when they choose to spend their lives together, are claiming that nobody else is good enough, but within the relationship, they are saying that they are prepared to devote themselves exclusively to each other to the exclusion of everybody else. And Hekdesh as well, when they dedicate something to the temple, it's not saying that it's better than anything else. The idea is that you are declaring and stating that a particular item is going to be exclusively used for one purpose and not for any other purpose. It's fascinating as well. There's another word that is linked to this word, which is a kadesha. A kadesha in the Torah is usually a woman who has designated her role in life to be quite liberal with who she engages with in the sense of relationships. She sets herself aside for promiscuity. And it's amazing, isn't it? The word for that kind of employment, if we can call it that, is linked to kedusha, the word for holiness. So clearly holiness isn't about saying that things are better than others. It's not about sitting on a mountain, legs crossed, and meditating in a realm of holiness and spirituality. Rather, this concept of kedusha, this concept of holiness, is about setting things aside for a unique and special relationship. It doesn't mean that things are better. It means that your focus is directed in one particular direction. So how do we achieve holiness? Well, our Torah tells us. And as I said, it's not about sitting alone on a mountain, meditating. The list of mitzvot that appear in this week's portion, in this week's parasha, is all about very mundane activities. There are mitzvot like keeping Shabbat, like fearing heaven, like not worshipping idols. But at the same time, there are mitzvot in this week's parasha like ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, loving others like we love ourselves, loving the stranger, not placing stumbling blocks in front of people, causing them to make mistakes, not cursing the deaf, speaking about deaf people when you know that they can't hear you. There's a mitzvah of being charitable. There's a mitzvah of being honest in business. There's a mitzvah of not taking revenge. These are all very mundane mitzvot. So it would seem then that when the Torah tells us Kedoshim tihiyu, that you should be holy, when Hashem says that the Jewish people should be a mamleches kohanim, a kingdom of priests, v'goy kadosh, and a holy nation, it's not trying to say that we are in the Super League and everybody else is just the dead weight and just the people that we have to tread over. Rather, the concept of Kedusha, the concept of holiness, is about the relationship that we set aside, that we devote ourselves as Jewish people exclusively to the development of our character, to the development of our relationships with those around us, and also our relationship with Hashem as well. I think that's a beautiful difference, completely different to the way that we have seen this week of setting aside teams to the exclusion of all others. Rather, Judaism, Kedusha, is all about learning how to function amongst the world, learning how to be the best people that we can be, while at the same time involving others in that process as well. So a little message there, and we're going to go on now to Kabbalat Shabbat. So ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready. Singing voices at hand. Let's get excited. All the kids who are watching tonight, we're going to show the grown-ups how it's done. Am I right? Am I right? Sophie, I'm not seeing you nodding. Erin, I'm not seeing you nodding.
Yeah.
We are going to show the adults how it's done. Here we go. We're going to start with Yedid Nefesh. It's found on page 256 in the Green Siddur. It's found on page 590 in the Art Scroll. And it's found on everybody's lips. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Yedid Nefesh Avarachaman Meshoch Avdecha El Ritzonecha Yaretz Avdecha Kamoya Yishtachaveh Amul Hadarecha Yerav Lo Yedidosecha Minofetzuf Vechotam Hadur Noezifalam Nafshi Cholas Avasecha Noelna Refanala Baharas la Noam Zivacha As Tischazek Vesisrape V'ha'is Simcha Solam Vasik Yehemuna Rachamecha V'chusana Al Beinahu V'cha Ki Zekama Nitzavti Liros B'Siferes Uzecha Elechamda Chamda Libi V'chusana Ve'alti Salam Higalena Fros Chavivi Alai Etzukas Shalomecha Ta'ir Eretz Michvadecha Nagila V'nismachavach Maherehov Kiva Moed V'chaneinu Kimei Olam Yala lai 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 Yala lai 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 Yala lai lai la lai 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 La la lai 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 La la lai 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 La la lai 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 La la lai 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 La la lai 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 La la lai 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 La la lai 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 La la lai 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 La la lai 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 Iri nai 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 Lai la 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 lai 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 la 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 lai 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 Ya la lai 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 La la lai 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 La la lai 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 La la lai 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 La la lai 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 La la lai 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 Oh, excuse me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. We are going to continue with Kabbalat Shabbat. The kids, you're doing a great job. Keep it up. Lots of dancing, lots of clapping, lots of singing along. We're going to be going on to Lechuna Ranana on page 258 in the Green Siddur, page 308 in the Art Scroll Siddur. Thumbs up if we're ready. Good stuff. Here we go.
Yes.
Lechuna Ranana Adonai Nariya Let's Yishena Nekadma fanav v'soda Bizmiros narialo Kel gadol Adonai melech gadol al kol Elohim Asher yado mechkei haaretz v'sofos harim lo Asher lo yamu asahu v'yabesh es yadav yotzaru Bo'u nishtachave v'nichra nivracha lifnei Adonai Yoseinu Ki hu Eloheinu v'anachnu amaris v'son yado Hayom b'kolos yishma'u Atakshu levavchem kimira Ki yom asa b'midbar Asher nisuni avoseichem V'chanuni gamru ufali
Rabbi, we can't hear you.
Oh, not at all? Can't hear me at all now?
Not properly.
Okay. Can you? Am I still moving around? Can you hear me now? Nothing.
No.
Can't hear me at all? Nothing? How strange.